Hello, it's Wisdom Wednesday, January 31st, 2018, last day of January down here in Arizona. That means we have made it through the dead of winter month of January, where I think there definitely were a few days where the high was under 80. Of course, today is not one of them. Sure, dog, how are you, man? So yes, it's another spectacular, beautiful day here in paradise. And I'm out hanging around in my backyard on a beautiful day, working outside today. This is where the magic happens, where my clients come and get to hang out with me at my house, by my pool. And that's where I think for them, I work for them, I create for them, and make them a lot of money. But today, no clients here, just me hanging out, having fun with the rhino of the day, which is this little stone, I'm in the shade. Get out the light a little bit. This little green malachite rhino. Malachite is a cool green rock that is found in the crap hole countries of Africa, like the Congo and Zambia and things like that. Hello, Michelle, which is the irony of why I use something that came from one of Donald Trump's favorite crap hole countries on a day that I'm talking about a lesson learned from Donald Trump. And I don't mean the podcast that I host every week for the past 97 weeks now, called Lessons Learned from Donald Trump. You can go to iTunes, or you can go to lessonslearnedfromdonaldtrump.com and catch that every week. My co-host Everett Farnell and I teach another business principle based on the comings and goings and all-around nuttiness of the actions of Donald Trump. But today, it's an important lesson for those of you that paid any attention at all to last night's State of the Union speech here in the U.S. I know I have viewers all over the world, but here in the U.S. once a year, the president gets to give a speech, and there's all kinds of pomp and circumstance, and they make a big deal out of it, and he broadcasts and tells everybody what he thinks happened last year and what he thinks is going to happen this year. So it's like a recap and then the plans, and they do that in January to set the year off. So Donald Trump's first one after his first year in office, and he comes out, and I have to admit, of course, the thing went on forever, first of all, so I had it on, but I was reading and doing other stuff, and I was not really paying total attention. I mean, it's a political speech, and it wasn't a campaign trail off the teleprompter, free-flow Donald Trump craziness that is fun. This was, completely fairly boring. But there's a few things I do remember, and that's the Wisdom Wednesday tip for today. If you watched that speech at all and had it on in the background at all, or even saw highlights, what do you remember from the speech? Okay, there's a saying in the world of marketing, promotion, sales, that facts tell and stories sell. So first of all, speaking of facts, and Donald Trump is a little humorous to begin with, because the man is a promoter at heart, so he's well known to not pay too much attention to the exact details of any facts. But I know he said things like, black unemployment is the lowest it's ever been in recorded history. Well, interesting how of course, that depends on how you determine employment. Because I believe that when blacks were first brought to America in chains in slavery, they were all working. Even if they were sick and dying, they were whipped and beaten to work. So there was 100% employment back then. But I digress. So here's the thing. What I remember from it, and it's less than 20 hours later, and I already probably hope, maybe like you, I think like everybody, hopefully you have things going on in your life that I completely forget the whole thing. But there's a few things I remember, and that's the lesson. I remember the stories. And Donald Trump, being a great promoter and marketer, was telling lots of stories. So I'll give you just one example. I'm sure I can come up with a few, but I remember there was a Korean guy who had escaped the clutches of the evil North Korea empire after getting run over on the railroad tracks or something, and then he went on crutches to get out of the country or whatever he did, and Donald Trump tells the story, and then the guy stands up and he holds up these ratty old crappy little crutches, and the place goes berserk. Now, who doesn't remember that? Not only is it a story, but you got a story plus the example, the actual visual of him holding up the crutches defiantly. Yeah, which I don't know what that has to do with North Korea. Like, yeah, I had crutches, so North Korea's bad. I don't understand, but I do remember it. What if, on the other hand, Donald Trump had just simply chosen to tell facts instead of that story to make the point? The point is North Korea is evil. So he could have just said, North Korea is evil and is a bad actor in the world and has it's 18.2 square miles and has 4.2 million people, and it has a GDP less than the state of Rhode Island, and it's run by an evil dictator who's threatening nuclear war. Okay, so a lot of facts. Like boring, and who cares? But to tell this gripping emotional story. Oh, there was this North Korean guy, and as a kid he was run over by a train, and then he grew up and got out of North Korea and walked on crutches, and he kept the crutches, and boom. Then there was another one where there was some Border Patrol agent or a cop or something in New Mexico, I think it was, who came across some drug addict woman with a baby, and she said, I can't, whatever, or she was pregnant or whatever it was, and him and his wife, adopted the baby. I don't know if it was again, I didn't pay that much attention, but, he could have just told the story, hey, drugs are bad, there's a drug epidemic, and it's hurting people in America, and it's hurting parents, and it's hurting their kids. He could have told lots of facts. Hey, there's X number of people on drugs, and there's X percentage of this and whatever. No, he tells an emotional story. He grabs one guy and tells an emotional story, guy and his wife and the baby. And it's an emotional story. There was another one where the gangs are bad. Okay, so he could have told all kinds of facts. Gangs are bad, and gangs are murdering people, and they're doing drugs, and they're shooting people, and blah, 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 and Chicago's a hellhole, and blah, 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 blah. But that's not where the Rhino of the Day is from, of course. The Rhino is not from a crap hole city like Chicago. It's from a crap hole country like something in Africa. But I digress. So he could have told all these just details about how bad drugs are. Or no, now we're on the gang thing. But instead, he tells a story. He brings two couples whose kids were killed by a gang. And it's a foreign gang, so I think this has to do with illegal immigration. Right, it's all about illegal immigration. He could have told all kinds of facts about how many people have crossed illegally and how many have committed crimes. And he could have rattled through facts, but Donald Trump is a much better promoter and marketer than that. And I want you to be also. Tell stories using examples whenever possible. So not only did he not just tell the story, but he had those real live living examples right there. The two fathers and mothers of the two slain teenagers at the hands of this illegal, immigrant gang members to bring home the point, like, we got to stop illegal immigration, as if farm workers coming in illegally so they can make $2 an hour picking lettuce has somehow equates to gangs. But of course, Donald Trump wants to make the point, we've got to deport and round up everyone and everyone's illegal and bad. He makes the point with a story. So stories sell. Stories are memorable. We are bred to remember stories, to learn through stories, to listen to stories, to when we're babies. I mean, anyone have kids or ever had kids or nieces, nephews? Hey, Mara's here. Great to see you. You told them a bedtime story. You didn't say, oh, I got to go tell my kids some bedtime facts now that they'll remember because they're facts. No, don't remember the facts. Remember the stories. The more emotional, the better. The more examples you can use, the better. He could have even told that story with that North Korean guy and just said, he was run over by a train and he got out of North Korea. Great, but he's like, hey, dude, bring the crutches. And then hide them throughout the whole story, and then right at the end, at the exact time when I call on you, you stand up, and then you raise those crutches defiantly in the air. Everyone will remember that. No one will remember the whole hour and a half of the rest of my boring speech other than these stories. So how about you? What's on your website? What's on your brochures? What's in your sales pitch when you talk to people? What are in your ads? Are you telling stories? Because stories sell, stories are remembered. Facts are boring, and they go in one ear and out the next, and they don't sway anybody. They don't emotionally move people to do anything, including to do business with you. Not as well as stories do. Make sense? Very good. And Dan is here. Good. Great to see you, Dan. So that's it from my beautiful backyard here in sunny Arizona. Another beautiful 80-degree winter day. I don't know how we make it through these rough winters down here, but I highly recommend that you put to use the business lessons that I share with you so you too can put together a business where you can get up and move anywhere and live wherever you want to be, or at least be there in the winter where it's beautiful and sunny and warm and enjoyable. Work with whoever you want, whenever you want, from wherever you want. Enjoy your life. Life is short. Make the most of it. That's it for Wisdom Wednesday. I don't see any questions, comments, concern. Maybe below put your favorite. I'm sure I left a lot out. Put your favorite story from last night's speech or that you use in your own marketing. Go ahead. In fact, go tell some stories in the comments if you want. Tell us about your business, why you started it, why you're in business. Tell about a story about somebody you helped in business to solve a problem, to do something. Go ahead and include your website, include whatever, and let's see if you can make some money. So whether you're watching this on Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, wherever you're watching it, go ahead, promote yourself in a comment. Tell stories, not facts. That's Wisdom Wednesday. I'll be back tomorrow with Throwback Thursday. I'll dip into some kind of blast from the past, share a business tip. Usually I do. That surrounds whatever it is that I'm sharing. And I hope you'll be with me then on Throwback Thursday. Thanks for being here today, everybody. Be back tomorrow. From beautiful Arizona, over and out.